All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, some news came out recently, and I wanted to go over it because it concerns the things that I do and I love video games. And it's none other than the console boys, Microsoft and Sony. So, yet again, it seems greed has fucked up gaming. So, from what I've heard, Microsoft initially started saying they wanted to push for more game ads in specifically free to play games. And as is always the case, Sony wants to do the same exact thing right after them because they don't want to be left behind. So Sony wants to copy them because they're both trying to big dick each other. And when they can't, they're just going to copy the other one. If they can't one up the other one, they're just going to straight up copy them. And that's what's essentially happening. So, a lot of details we don't know yet because we just heard about it, and a lot of important questions haven't really been answered. But as Lucio says from Overwatch, we're going to break it down and go over what this could mean for the future, potentially. And let me just say, it's not too good. So, both Sony and Microsoft, like I said before, are pushing for free-to-play games to be further monetized with actual ads in the game that you would see during gameplay. So, what does this mean? Well, before anything, both say, remember, this is all what they're saying, they have no effect on gameplay itself, so you're not going to be taken out of the game and forced to see an ad. It's going to be along the lines of you see a billboard or some medium in the game where an ad would be normalized to see there, but it's going to be for something in real life. Like, you're actually going to see something like, Nike sneakers, which, we'll get to some examples that already exist for this, but you'll see stuff in real life in the game that will get advertised to you that you can actually buy. Now, they say it's going to be seamless and it's going to blend in, but once you hear what Sony's trying to do with certain forms of this, you're going to see how this is a crock of fucking shit. Or at least I think it is. So, the way they're justifying this, both of Sony and Microsoft are saying this. They're saying this by it's helping to encourage and promote free-to-play games going into the future by showing creators and developers of the free-to-play games that they could get advertisers on board with this new system while also trying to attract them to consoles. So what does this mean? This basically means if you're thinking of creating a new free-to-play game, you can have some guaranteed revenue because there's a way to easily place ads if you put it on consoles. So theoretically, it should be good for everyone. There should be no downsides. It doesn't take away from your in-game experience. It helps the creator if they want to make a game and get financial backing, and it helps the advertiser because it spreads their content, and it helps the console because it brings more people in, in terms of creators. So what could go wrong here, right? We'll get to that. So what's the timetable for this bullshit? Both of them, both Microsoft and Sony, plan to release this before the year ends. So we're already really quick on the timetable, because if there's a way to make fucking money and better themselves, they're going to do it quickly. So now we're going to get into the specific differences of what the two companies are doing. And again, this is just from what I've seen. This is from initial highlights of what the companies have responded to. They haven't responded to much, but this is what they have said. I personally think, and you can form your own opinions, I think Microsoft is way better in this than Sony is. But let's see. So Microsoft seems to actually come out ahead in terms of the good boy points they're going to earn here, because they are worried that the system might irritate players, and they've said this. They've said, yeah, we're a little skeptical, we're like really careful with what we're doing here because we don't want to upset gamers. Well, they're saying it and then they're doing it, but at least they're putting forth that they're thinking of us, which is already good. It's showing that they're cautious and they're keeping their ear to the ground, hopefully, if they're being truthful, and maybe it'll be adjusted if we don't like it. So, that being said, they also say something that's also very good. They don't plan on taking any cut of the revenue that would be made with the system. So any revenue that's made with this new system would simply be shared between the ad company and the game developers. None of it will go to Microsoft. Microsoft is literally not benefiting at all except for getting the game on their platform. And I don't even think it's exclusive. I don't even think they're putting an exclusivity clause at all. So overall, Microsoft is basically saying like, okay, you want to make more money, you want to have more financial backing, you want it to be more appealing, here you go. We're not going to touch it. Just do it. It's good for you, which is good. So, assuming these are true statements, because again, we all know when there's money to be made, companies aren't above going back on their words in the future, this seems to be okay compared to what I'm about to tell you about Sony. So, in most respects, Sony is doing the same thing like I said. They're coming out around the same time, they're just copying each other. However, some of the fuckheads there at Sony, because they have their heads up their fucking asses, and I'm not saying Microsoft aren't a bunch of fuckheads, they are too, but not with everything. They're thinking about selling data to ad companies within this program. They're thinking of selling your fucking data, which at this day and age, you're either on one of two sides. You either don't care or you do care. I'm of the mindset that it doesn't really matter because someone's selling my data anyway, and I've probably agreed to it, and trying to limit your data being sold with every medium you use that does sell it is almost near impossible, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, if that wasn't enough, they're also considering a format where you can view ads and get in-game rewards and skins. So remember that thing they said of, it's not going to interrupt gameplay or affect it in any way. Well, that's a fucking lie because you're able to get actual advantages for watching ads. It's not as bad as pay to win. It's watch an ad and then slightly win. Which, again, you can argue pay to win isn't really pay to win, but in some instances it is. But I'm not going to get into that. That could be a separate video. But basically, they're doing this. Microsoft said they're not going to sell any of your ad data at all. But Sony is, willing to put a price tag on it. Now, let's get on to the opinions of what I think is going to be happening. So, initially, I did not like this at all, as I would expect most people wouldn't as a first guttural reaction. After sitting with it for some time, though, I think if it's done properly, the way Microsoft wants to do it at least, I actually think it could go over and do some of the ideas that it proposed, which it never almost is done how it is said, but, here's to hoping, right? But I think it actually could encourage some free-to-play games to come onto the platform, because this is literally, again, if you're taking it black and white just on the paper as they said it, it seems good. It doesn't seem bad. It's more money for everyone, and not even Microsoft, but they still benefit. It's mutual benefit for everyone. Now, this is already being done, right? The problem is, when it was already done, it was fucked up. So, some might say, by doing this, we're going down a slippery slope. Some might say we're opening Pandora's box by allowing ads in games this way. Because what's the next step? Where will people go next? I say Pandora's box has already been fucking opened. Look at the bullshit 2K did. 2K forced you to watch ads even though your game was ready and loaded and, raring to go. It didn't matter. They wanted to money grub you so hard that they forced you to watch ads. Eventually people pushed back against it and they got rid of it, yeah. But the line keeps getting pushed further and further. They're just going back a little bit so they could push it further down the line, and you'll accept more and more as time goes on. This is how they work, and they know. And I think both companies are generally evil, and I wouldn't put it above them to do this like 2K did, because I think 2K is fucking disgusting. Or the company that makes 2K. I forgot who. Is it EA? Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. But anyway, I think we're already on the slippery slope, and we're at the bottom. We've slipped. We're falling. That's what I think. However, I'm not full-on doomsday thinking, since Microsoft seems receptive to feedback, although that might just be a little bit of a show. We have seen that, again, even companies like 2K are willing to go back on what they're doing in terms of stupidness if there's enough pushback. However, I think it's only a matter of time before people really accept it, because the more they get bombarded with it, the more they're going to accept it. So, it's not looking too bright, but I mean, hey, it's the future. If it's done right, I think it's fine. If anything, I think it kind of adds to the realism, too. If I'm in a game like, Spider-Man or something, and I see an ad for Nike on the billboard when I'm swinging around, even though I don't have a PlayStation, so I'll never play Spider-Man. If I'm seeing an ad for Nike, I'm thinking like, oh, wow, this game's kind of realistic. Yeah, that makes sense. I would see that there. I don't think it could be too bad, but the problem comes with, and the other good part is they're only putting it for free-to-play games, which is even better. But the problem comes in, it's like, what's the next step? Because I don't think companies are ever going to just leave it here. I think it could help free-to-play games if done like they said. However, I don't think that's what's going to be done, especially for the future. Maybe they'll do it for a certain amount of time, but who knows? I honestly think if there's enough pushback, the people can get what they want. It's just the people are kind of complacent when it comes to things happening to them. The same way it is inside. But anyway, that's kind of the news with the gaming stuff. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm out of here. Who knows when I'll be back with another opinion shit. But I hope you enjoyed.